What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I want to talk about some very important levels to watch for SPY, Tesla, the QQQ, and many tickers out there. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. Not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. The offer is very soon, just a couple of weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So I just want to say right over here that the market's gapping up very, very nicely so far, and we should gap up upon open. But there's a big gap that's left on SPY, and there is going to be a risk of us dipping because of the fact that it's Veterans Day, and there's going to be a little bit less volume most likely coming. So, what's going to happen to the charts? Let's talk about some key levels and go over some very, very big things. I want to call out Tesla specifically because this thing is absolutely skyrocketing. It's just exploding right now. That's because of the fact that there is a closer relationship between Musk and Trump, and I'm saying this because, excuse me, Elon Musk was on a call with Zelensky and Trump, and his relationship is continuing to grow, and it just gives him power over not only the U.S. government but also more influence in terms of policymaking. So, in essence, that is bullish for Tesla because investors absolutely love that, and they're continuing to buy Tesla up. That's why Tesla's up like almost 7% already during the pre-market. It's continuing this squeeze. Know that today is Monday, November 11th. Have a very happy Veterans Day for those who don't have work. But just know that the stock market's still going to be open. The bonds market's what's going to be closed. And there's not really any data coming out for today. For earnings, we had Monday.com. Everything was very, very minor. They did well for earnings, but their growth was very slow and guidance was just like so. That's why Monday.com still crashed despite having decent earnings. Growth is just a little bit slower than what we were anticipating before. Besides that, the market's still going, it's still trying to gap up, but just be careful as we're hitting some tough resistance. Coin, Bitcoin, and coin are on fire. Bitcoin broke 80,000 over the weekend, and then the next resistance was around 82,000, which is what we called on my previous video. So we're still pushing a little bit higher. Okay. Besides that, I didn't see anything else that was too crazy. We do have a lot of retail announcing earnings. And then Tesla has regained the $1 trillion market cap. You guys can see Elon Musk and the team are very excited about that. Putting politics aside, guys, I just want to say it's a big achievement, and Tesla's doing very, very well. So, what do I see for the markets? Just know this about SPY. There's a divergence forming right over here, and it is Veterans Day, so there's going to most likely be less volume. With less volume coming, there is a chance SPY might actually dip a bit because of that. So, when we open, just know this, we might try to push upon open and kind of shuffle up here for a bit, but there is a risk of us slowing down later on because of less volume. So watch 600 as resistance. If we hold above this, look at 601 as our next level. 600 and 601 are the two main resistance levels to watch for. So far this morning, we tried to break past 601. We just got a little rejection, and we're just a little bit below 600. So it just goes to show we're kind of struggling to hold above 600 so far. Keep in mind, if we do break 601, I will turn more bullish. As of right now, it's not looking like that. It's looking like we're going to shuffle very close to 600. Then we might see a dip later on. If we end up losing 599.5, I think we dump all the way down to fill this gap to 598. I think there's a risk of that within the next couple of days. So keep that in mind, guys. Watch these levels carefully, and that's what I think is going to most likely end up panning out. So watch the levels. Just know that we do have a tough resistance between 600 and 601. Might shuffle here for a bit before we start to dip as the most likely move. If we break 601, we will turn back to bullish, but I don't really favor that. I think that we're just going to shuffle for a bit and maybe slow down as time goes on. For ES, we're just trading sideways right over here. If we lose 6,040, we're looking for a dip back down for 6,035, then all the way back down to the 6,020 area and 6,000. If we break past 6,050, we're pushing up higher. I presume we're just going to be range bound for now, and we might be dipping closer to about the 6,020 area or below as the most likely case. But overall, ES is doing a good job at holding up, so it's going to likely attempt to gap up like this, push a little bit higher before it starts to dip lower. But just know that there is a risk of us getting closer to 6,000 because of less volume. Keep that in mind. For Nvda, is trying to rebound just a little bit, but I do see an issue with this. So when you look at, excuse me, for instance, the 4-hour time frame, I think that we could try to push a little bit higher because of some bullish news that came out. We might see some buyers try to push this closer to about 149, if not a little bit higher. But then there is a risk of it being range bound and still retesting these lows, just kind of consolidating in this range because of the fact that there's going to be less volume. That's going to be one of the most likely cases. Bitcoin's very bullish. If we hold above 82,000, I think we continue to push for 82,500, eventually 84,000. If we lose 82,000, we're looking for 80,000 as our target. It looks bullish though, so we'll have to see if this continues. Overall, doing a great job. For other factors out there, just know that Tesla, let's go to Tesla. It's very strong, very, very strong stock, guys. Very, very strong amount of momentum. We have 347.5 as our resistance. If that breaks, we go up to 350, then the 350s are coming. If we can't break past that, look for 345, then 342 as our main support. If that fails us, we're going to be looking for support at 338, followed by 335. So watch those supports and watch the resistance areas. As of right now, Tesla did pump a bit. It's been kind of shuffling so far. Might attempt to grab liquidity up around 347 again and then continue to shuffle for some time. But if the whole market does slow, there is a chance Tesla could follow the trend. If we end up getting below 340, watch for that. But for now, Tesla is very bullish and very strong, and we're going to be watching to see how well it ends up continuing to hold these levels. NQ needs to hold above 21,300. If we end up losing it, we're looking for 21,250 and then 21,200 as our supports. There is a risk of it slowing down right now. I think it might push a bit, consolidate, but there could be a slowdown as time goes on. For the QQQ, it's the same thing. We basically push to the 515s. We'll have to see if we break 517 or not. Otherwise, there is going to be a risk of us coming down to fill this gap towards 514 and eventually start dipping back down to about 511. So watch those levels very carefully. For Apple, Apple pumped very, very nicely, but just know this about Apple, right? We were saying that this thing is bullish overall, but there's going to be a small dip coming initially, and that's what's happening so far. We could dip lower to about the 225 area, if not a little bit below that before it tries to rebound. So look for a little bit more downside on Apple stock, guys. Keep that in mind as the most likely case. For other tickers out there, we have, let me just double check this. The IWM pushed about 240. We'll have to see if we break 242 or not. If not, there is a risk of us coming down to fill this gap to 238 later on with less volume coming in. So if 240 fails us, we'll go down to 238. And if we hold above that, we're going to be pushing higher. So give this the time it needs. For coin has 320 as resistance, and we have our main support around 302. If 302 fails us, we're going to be dipping back down to 300, 295, and all the way down to where this gap fill is. Look for a push closer to like 315 to 320, then we could be dipping lower. We'll have to see about that. It remains bullish with Bitcoin, but just know these levels are, it's kind of new to the 300, so it might take some time for it to really get adjusted. So there's a chance it might kind of pump and then slow down as time goes on. Amazon might slow down a bit to about 208 and eventually back down to the 205s because of the fact that there could be less volume. Meta has 592 as our resistance, and we start dipping lower. We're looking for essentially 587, eventually 584. So watch those supports. For Microsoft, at a high here, we came down at a lower high to about 424. If we turn here, we're looking for essentially 420 as our potential targets. We'll have to see how it goes if we get a rejection. Same thing with Google. We have 181 as our resistance, not to mention the support down here around 179.5 and eventually 178. We could be making lower highs. So we'll see if we slow down here, start tipping back down for 179. So give this a little bit more time. Anyways, that's what I'm saying, at least so far, at least for the markets. Tesla's doing a good job at holding up, so make sure you watch that. It's a runner. But the whole market as a whole might slow down as time goes on. We'll have to see if we can break past 600, 601 on SPY, but there is a risk of it slowing because of less volume and because it's Veterans Day. So please have a very, very happy Veterans Day. I appreciate all the veterans out there. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours. Watch your levels very closely, and peace out.